Underdog just keeps dropping these low dollar tournaments, and I can't stop joining them. 17 drafts in. Tonight, we go for number 18 with Kev from The Bounce. He's here. He's taking time out of the NBA Finals to hang out with us and draft some puppies. A top-tier guest, a Puppy 2 draft. I guess we're in Puppy 2 now. What more can you ask for on a Wednesday night? Let's go drafting.
Tell them to bring me my money.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money. Money, money, money.
Dollar, dollar. Dollar, dollar. Cheating, cheating, bling, bling. Cut the chatter. You ain't talking money, then you're talking no matter. Cheating, cheating, bling, bling. Cutting pockets. Take the dollar, dollar.
Welcome into the Rumbles of Red, powered by Bite Size Sports. Thank you all for being here. Please hit that like button. Hit the subscribe to the channel button. We have a goal. We're going for 750 subscribers on the Bite Size Sports channel before the NFL season. So we're just mere months away at this point. We have live shows every night. Actually, a doubleheader tonight. Kev, John, and James will be on. A little bit of a recap for Game 3 later on tonight. And, of course, we're going to draft a Puppy 2 here. Necessary Roughness on Tuesday nights. The Bounce on Thursday nights. We're taking up the ADP spot tonight, which is usually Wednesdays at 8:15. And then on Friday, I'm going to do Biting early, 7 a.m. Friday morning. So you get all those live shows each and every week. And look at this, guys. Look at this. I can see on the back end, you're all watching, which is phenomenal, but you're not subscribed. Hit that subscribe button. It does us a lot of good. Doesn't do anything on your end except for allows you to know every time we go live. So hit that so you don't miss out on anything here on Bite Size Sports. Kev, welcome in, my man. I got my spiel out of the way. How you doing? Thanks for being here, man.
Hey, Trevor, thanks for having me, man. I really appreciate it. Like you mentioned, it's a big day. Double slate here. We got the NBA Finals cooking up. I'm excited for that. I can't wait to talk about it. And it looks like I no matter what, the NBA, I love it, but they don't give you any breaks. We're going to have to talk about Chris Paul as well after the game. So, if you guys want to hang out, talk a little NBA, we might have to talk about Zion Williamson a bit too. I don't know.
Wow.
Might save that for the late night.
Yeah.
That might be one for late night bites, right, Trevor? That's a weird one. But I'm good, man.
I'm just like, yeah. I came out of left field, man. You guys have plenty to talk about tonight.
Yeah, we're going to have a loaded slate for you. So if you like hoops, come on, hang out with us. But in the meantime, I'm excited because I'm getting to learn a lot today, all right? I am not a best ball aficionado. Let's just say I'm a rookie, all right? So I'm going to ask you some questions. I'm hoping you're going to correct me when I go astray. And I'll be playing the role of the audience today.
Yeah, it's going to be a great time. One thing that you'll have going for it is the NFL, these players. You're going to have your own player takes as we go through and draft, and those can come into play. So do non-player takes and things like stacking and correlation and week 17. So there's still other things to learn as well as we go. But yeah, we'll get through some questions here before too long, before we hit that draft button. If you're in the chat with us tonight, thank you all for being here. Let us know. Are you planning to jump in to the draft tonight? And if you are, and you have not, I don't have it up, and you have not signed up for Underdog yet, jump on into Underdog. Use promo code Trevor Steinbacher. They will match your deposit up to $100 for the first time. $100, that's what, 20 Puppy 2 drafts? I mean, you can get a lot of drafts in for $100. You can get 4 Best Ball Mania drafts. Throw in a 4 drafts to win $3 million. And in all honesty, that's 4 free drafts, right? Because they're matching up to $100. So you throw in 100, you get 200 in your account. Boom, you are drafting like crazy. Use promo code Trevor Steinbacher. We'll be here all summer for a Best Ball summer. Before we get drafting, Kev, you brought the hard-hitting questions to the show tonight. I asked you to kind of throw something together. I wanted to hear from you, especially as somebody who doesn't do best ball, at least not as much as I've done it. Not that I am any type of professional yet. I don't have all the answers, but I want to answer your questions. So I'm looking forward to getting those from you. And if you are in the chat, throw in your questions. If you have questions about best ball, throw them in the chat. They can be strategy questions, player-specific questions, player takes, anything you want. Let's just have a quick question and answer here before we get into the draft, kind of while you all are getting signed up for Underdog and using promo code Trevor Steinbacher. Kev, hit me with that first question.
Yeah. So I come from a background that is heavily into traditional redraft leagues. I actually back-to-back champions this year, 2 different leagues, but we got a 2-year streak going in the redraft leagues, and I'm a huge fan of auctions. My crown jewel, my favorite league, Trevor, is an IDP auction draft, where we have it's a super flex league where you also have an IDP flex player. So we are talking just you got multiple linemen, multiple linebackers, multiple DBs, and a defensive flex, and you're auctioning. It takes hours. It takes about 6 hours
Yeah,
to do
that
that.
sounds like it.
That's the kind of world that I'm coming from. So best ball, it's going to be very different for me. So my first question for you is how different are the early round strategies in best ball versus your traditional redraft?
Yeah, for me, we're talking early round. It doesn't change a whole lot. I mean, most people they have their style of play. I am a big zero RB guy. I'll go 6 rounds without even thinking about a running back, and then I'll just hammer like 4 or 5, 6 of them in a row. It doesn't really matter. I don't mind doing an anchor RB if I get a guy like a Christian McCaffrey or an Austin Eckler in the right spot, something like that. I don't mind going that route either. Rarely, not never, but rarely do I take 2 to 3 running backs in the first couple rounds. And that's in redraft and in best ball. It's just not something that I'm really chasing. So really early rounds, I would say your redraft leagues are going to be similar to what we're going to see in best ball. I do think that in the best ball world, we're starting to see these wide receivers move up the board a little bit heavier. Whereas, we got to remember, like, this is kind of a not necessarily a niche, but there's not a lot of people doing best ball. And so it's very culture, like everybody's doing the same thing. Everybody wants the wide receivers right now. Whereas when you get back to your home drafts, who haven't done best ball all summer long, they just show up on August 15th to a random redraft league. Your running backs are going to go higher.
Yep.
They're just a matter. Like, people love their running backs still. People still have this like aura about them. Like, we have to get the best running back in the league. They don't really think about the Rashad Whites of the world that you can get later on. It could be a RB1 out of the gate this year in Tampa Bay, those kind of things. So really the first couple rounds is not super different. I think where you're going to get different is going to be later on in drafts and how you handle quarterbacks, how you handle team stacks or game stacks, those kind of things. Things you're not thinking about in redraft leagues, because quite frankly, you don't necessarily care if you have a week 17 stack in redraft, because it's a week-to-week game, not a season-long tournament.
Right. Now that makes perfect sense. And that kind of leads me into my second question, which was still about those early rounds, which is, you may have answered this already for yourself, but have you seen a trend in best balls? Are people reaching early on tight ends or something like that? I'm wondering if, because it is sort of a set it, forget it situation, does it play out exactly the same, where if you don't get, Kelsey or one of those, we've heard Waller in the past, I personally am not going to draft Kittle very highly, but I could understand someone who would. Is it sort of like that? You have the 2 or 3 guys people are going to reach for, and then it drops off, or do you see a different strategy there?
Yeah, I think that. So you're still going to have your middle tier tight ends still be drafted in rounds 6 to 8, around in there. But the thing about in best ball, if I'm drafting a Travis Kelsey at 5 or 6, or a Mark Andrews late in the second round, which is kind of where both of those guys are going, even if I draft guys like George Kittle, Kyle Pitts still a little bit, Dallas Goedert here and there, then I'm just going to go get out of there with 2 tight ends. I'm not going to go tight end heavy. But if I miss on those first couple rounds, maybe the draft doesn't set up that way. Maybe it doesn't really work with my team, those kind of things, which happens. I'm going to probably hit 3 tight ends later on. And those are the ones that you're going to wait till you're later. I've always been a first or last guy in tight end. I definitely am in redraft leagues, which I guess I should. I mean, same thing with quarterbacks. Quarterbacks I don't wait as long around in best ball, but in redraft, I am rarely going to be the first or even the 11th person taking a quarterback. I'm usually always the last person taking a quarterback in redraft league. I won't do that in best ball, but tight ends are the same way. I'm either early or I just wait. I'll wait till round 10, 13, and 16 and just take 3 tight ends and hope one of them have a, Gerald Everett type season where he ends up tight end 6 and you get him super late in the drafts.
That's usually that's my quarterback strategy in redrafts. It's very similar. It's sort of, I'm not going to be the first guy. Definitely not. Yeah. And I'm just usually maybe round 10 and 12 are going to be quarterbacks for me. I'm going to take somebody with a high floor, and then I'm going to take a young guy with some upside and hope that I can work the matchups early on. So that all makes sense. It seems like it's all tracking here.
Yeah, I'm a big streaming guy. I'm a big streamer tight end there. So real quick, Lee, no, I can't guarantee the first picks, first 6 picks one time. I wish I could guarantee a top 6 pick. That would be nice. I've actually been getting a lot of 10, 11, 12s in the puppies, and that's just kind of annoying. I would love to be able to take a Jamar Chase or Justin Jefferson off the top and just run a team that way. It's just not the way it's working out right now. So if you are in the chat, you have any questions, throw it in here. We got a couple more questions before we get into a puppy 2 draft. So definitely appreciate you all being here. And also follow us on social medias. I see some Facebook viewers on here already. That's awesome. Welcome in, Nate. Appreciate you being here. There absolutely is good tight end value later on. Yes. Yeah, I mean, you really got to shoot your shot and hope you hit the right one. It is atrocious, especially deep. But also follow us on Instagram. So check this out. Hit this. Follow us on Instagram. We're doing a lot of reels on Instagram. We've got guys at live sporting events on Instagram. So if you're here with us, scan that QR code. Follow us on Instagram. Just another way to get some content out of Bite Size Sports. James was at the Indiana State Regional this past weekend. Nate's been at a lot of racing events. I was at the draft. So we just try to hit up, we're all over the country. So we're trying to hit up different live events and try to go as get as much of that on our Instagram as possible. So again, one more time before the next question comes through, Instagram at bite_size sports on Instagram. All right, Kev, any other questions here before we roll on?
Yeah, I want to see, in general, okay, yeah, I have 2 more for you. I'm gonna ask them out of order because this one of them is just kind of a catch-all sort of thing. So you talked about how your strategies don't change much in the early rounds, but that in the late rounds it might be different. You've kind of expanded upon that, so this might be a short answer, but what are you looking at other than potentially, taking a flyer on an extra tight end? How does your late round strategy change in best ball versus a traditional redraft or a dynasty league?
Yeah, the first thing is I will break ties with stacks. So if that means, if I'm looking at Tim Patrick versus Josh Downs, I don't think they're really in the same range, but those are 2 that came. If I've already got Anthony Richardson, I'm just going to break the tie and take Josh Downs because I want the stack with the team, with the quarterback, whatnot. Also, week 17. I talked about week 17 last time I was on. And it's big because this tournament and all these underdog tournaments, they go until week 17. If you make week 17, that's where all the money's at, right? So for the puppy 2, up top, the prize is $150,000 if you win the puppy 2. If you get second place, it's $75,000. Don't get me wrong. I would love to take $75,000. I wouldn't be mad about it, but it's $75,000 less than first place. So we're trying to maximize the opportunity to hit the top number in week 17, which is the championship round. Give you one more thing. If you get 11th place, so not first, but 11th, you get $2,000. Like that feels like, it would pay for my best ball for the year. That'd be fine. But I want the 150,000, right? It's such a huge drop off in these very, very top heavy tournaments that we want to try to maximize as much as possible. So it's almost like when I do my DFS shows all season long, we talk about correlation, game to game correlation. If the Chargers and Chiefs are playing each other, I might want to get a Keenan Allen and Kadarius Toney in my lineup together if possible, right? Because if one goes off, maybe the other one goes off because they're pushing each other. We're kind of looking at the same thing with Week 17 matchups. We're kind of trying to find some of that correlation to where if you want to, if you get a Jamar Chase at 102, maybe you throw in a Kadarius Toney later on because the Chiefs and Bengals play each other in Week 17. So you have a little bit of that correlation late in the year to help your team potentially go over the top. So I wish I had it. The Bestball Mania 3, Mania 3, this year's 4. The winner, he had that. Like he had Tampa Bay. I think did they play? He had the Tampa Bay stack, Tom Brady, Mike Evans, who Mike Evans went off in Week 17. He had Austin Eckler, who went off. So you also have to get lucky, right?
Yep.
But he had some correlation with some of those guys that ended up paying off really well last year. So that's kind of the late rounds. I'm looking at who can correlate my team and what makes sense. And then the second, I'm not as worried about is just spreading the wealth a little bit. I do enough drafts that if I continue to pass on, say, Leonard Fournette, maybe I'll throw him in there every once in a while just so I have a couple sprinkles of Leonard Fournette here and there before he signs. Because as soon as he signs, he'll go up like 3 rounds. It's just the way it is, right? Because you know where he's going to be. You feel good about it, whatever. So the other thing, that's the second thing is like I'll kind of sprinkle in other guys just so I have a couple shares of them.
That makes perfect sense. And I think you just answered my last question, but I'm going to lob it out there just in case there's one other thing you want to, or a couple other things you want to mention to anybody before we dive in. But my last question was just simply, what are factors that you look at or don't look at in best ball versus traditional? So I had said things like, example, bye weeks. You just talked about Week 17, stuff like that. You talked about stacks. So again, you've kind of already talked about the things that I thought you might talk about with that question, but I didn't want to leave it unasked just in case.
Yeah, I'll mention bye weeks. I never look at bye weeks. I honestly, I rarely look at bye weeks and redraft either.
I was just about to make that joke. If I looked at them more, I'd have more redraft championships. I paid a little more attention.
I just never, I'm like, whatever. I got 7 guys on a bye week 11. Like my team's going to change so much in redraft by week 11.
Well, and here's the thing. I've always asked myself this. Are you willing to trade one loss for a championship? Because I am.
Yeah.
Depending on what week those bye
so long
weeks
as you still
kill
get
you.
in.
Right, exactly. So, I don't really want it to be late towards the playoffs where all my bye weeks kick me in the stomach. But if it's a week 6, I'll run it, dude. I'll take that loss. We'll make up for that. I'm banking on having the best team in this league. So I don't care if I have to trade one bad week for however many good ones. So that's my thought there.
All right, let me get through. Let's real quick, one more plug, our Discord. So if you want to talk about this all day, every day, honestly, we are always active in our Discord. You can talk NBA, MLB, NCAA, whatever you want to talk, we got it in our Discord. Join our Discord. Link in the episode description. So just below where you're chatting at right now on YouTube, you'll see our link. Hit that link. Join our Discord. We'd love to have you in. Let me answer a couple of these chat questions, and then we're going to start drafting. Superflex is completely different in Dynasty. You have to have quarterbacks early because 100%. Get 2 in the first couple rounds. I also don't hate getting a stud. And then if I can snag a stud wide receiver like a Jamar Chase, something like that, doing that, and then maybe just taking my second and third quarterbacks later on. I've never actually been great out of the gate with startup dynasties. Like legitimately, I always take a couple of years, but it's because I'm not that worried about grabbing a bunch of quarterbacks early, so I'll try to zig while everybody else zags on those.
I got one that I'm drooling over because I got Burrow and Justin Fields in the dynasty startup
yeah.
draft because everybody
I
was
like
low on
that.
Fields. So now I'm
Yep.
just sitting back.
I started one like years ago when Tyreek Hill was in all of his trouble, and we drafted in April. And so I got Tyreek Hill in like round 5 or 6, and he just absolutely smashed. That's been a fun league, that's for sure. I'd rather draft my cat at tight end than deal with Irv Smith Jr. That was a mistake. What's the mistake? Drafting Irv or your cat? Having a cat? What's the mistake here, Nate? Nah, I get you, man. I get you. There's some trash at the tight end spots. That is for sure. Is it easier to be flexible if the board goes crazy in best ball drafts compared to redraft? I think if you're ready for it, yes. Because again, we're trying. It's a dynamic because you have to beat 12 or 11 other teams in the first 14 weeks, right? But then in week 15, you go to a new pod. And so you might have Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow. Well, so does 3 other people in that same pod. So you're still trying to be. So as you move through the playoffs, it happens week 14, 15, 15, 16, and then the championship in week 17. So the reason it's more flexible is because you can change your draft style. If the board goes crazy and say 20 wide receivers go off the board and you're not ready for that quite yet, right? You have a choice to make. You can go another wide receiver and just get ahead of the game. Or you could just zig while everybody else zags, take some, good ADP values. Again, you just stack up your teams, just roll with that. Lee, hopefully he'll jump in our draft here in a little bit. He likes to pick out a couple of teams before he even starts drafting. He's like, you know what? I'm going to stack up the Ravens this time. And he'll just kind of stack the Ravens or whatnot. High leverage, high octane offenses that could hit. So you can definitely get crazy yourself in a good way if the draft board doesn't go your way in best ball. And we'll see how it goes tonight, and we'll kind of work through that a little bit. Would you do the same thing with Kareem Hunt? Yeah, I'll sprinkle in some Kareem Hunt right now. I think he'll find it. Do you think Kareem Hunt will find a landing spot? I think he'll
I
sign.
do. I can't see him not playing. I mean, when
Yeah.
when I think about his career to this point, it's like there were other times when I thought he might not be back into the league. I can't imagine him not getting a call now. I think he still adds value. I don't know if he's going to be the guy. I mean, do we have what's the situation there, Trevor? Do we have any idea? Is there any inkling? Forgive me, I have been
No, he
the
was in
NBA
the side.
playoffs for months. So
Yeah,
is
no,
any
there's just
rumors there?
no, not really. It's just Zeke, Leonard Fournette, Kareem Hunt. I mean, the
They're
NFL is
all
getting smarter with some of these running backs, and as they get older, they're like, no, I'm not paying you anymore. But what I think will happen, we'll get to July, we'll start getting to OTAs and all that, camps and those kind of things. And unfortunately, injury will happen, and these guys will find some spots here and there. So I'm not worried about that. I don't think Kareem Hunt goes back to the Browns though.
I can agree with that. I think he might be better off going somewhere else. And you mentioned the injuries. There also could be, some of these young running backs that somebody took a flyer on in later rounds. They might not. They might find out after a couple weeks that's a practice squad guy, and
Yep.
we actually need a little more depth. We need somebody who can pick up a blitz package. And that's where guys who, at the very least, have NFL experience, even if they're not great pass blockers, are usually better than somebody straight out of college who hasn't had to do it a lot. So I agree with you. None of those 3 guys are going to get the payday that they were hoping for, but they will be right there. I think all 3 of them play this year, if not signed by week 1.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Nate says it'd be nice if the Browns gave Chubb some damn receptions. I agree. I do I haven't been clicking the button a lot on Jerome Ford, who is essentially taking Kareem Hunt's spot in Cleveland. I probably should do that a little bit more often because apparently he's going to be the guy. And yes, Clyde is going to be released for sure. He can ride off into the sunset wherever he would like to, but not in Kansas City.
I'm not as certain he's going to get signed. Are you?
No. He has to get released first, but
he'll be in Seattle.
He has to get released first, but we'll see. Let me see here. I gotta fix this. I always do this, man. Is this it? Which one of these are?
Ooh, yeah. You know, one of these days I just need to take a PTO from work and play with all of the different layouts that
Yeah.
StreamYard has to offer. Shout out to StreamYard, by the way. If you want to make streams just like ours, you can click the link in the description, make your own StreamYard. Although, don't ask us for tips on how to navigate the custom layouts. All right, we're working on it.
Seriously. Let's see if I can make this a little bigger. Looks like that's his. Oh yeah, there we go. Let's do that. All right, update layout. All right, if you are in the chat, I hope that you are on this screen right here. We are in a Puppy 2, $5 entry. I'm going to hit enter. Hopefully you all hit enter about the same time, and we try to get a couple people in the chat to draft with us tonight if you can. And let's go drafting, folks. Let's hit enter.
Yee.
All right, that's a good sign here, Kev. That means we're waiting on some people. That means it gives our listeners a little bit more time.
Yes.
I hate whenever it happens and it's like I'm the last person to fill it, and you're just like, man, sorry
Never
guys,
mind.
we tried, but now luckily we don't have a lot of people drafting with us just yet. Maybe one day we'll get more. But yeah, waiting on 2 more. So if you are still trying to get in there, jump on in real quick. Otherwise, somebody will fill it here before too long. Kev, these are really good questions. I think a lot of this will get talked through as well as we go through the draft here, because it's just really easy as you talk about players, like the reasoning behind why we want to pick some people up here and there. So I think we'll talk through a little bit of that. I've got my week 16 and 17 matchups
Good.
going on, so I'll be ready there. All right, so Lee did jump in here with us.
Yeah.
He's at 10. Of course, we're at 11 because I can't seem to get anything else in Puppy right now.
Wow, 11.
This is starting to become a trend that I don't like. But Lee's here at 10, so we'll be able to kind of work through and watch him as he goes on. I don't think I noticed any of these other people. But if you are in here and you're in the chat, let us know if you did jump in here. These, Kevin, in case you don't know, these badges. So red badge is like they're the red is like the highest badge you can get. You've drafted, you've spent so much money, whatever.
Okay.
Black badge is the next one. So I am not a part of the badge brigade yet, but maybe one day I'll spend enough money on Underdog they'll give me a badge.
Wow. Okay. I like, everybody's got something these days.
Yeah.
Some achievement unlocked.
That's what you got to do. Starting out pretty normal. These guys all go, and you kind of see the ADPs here. It's pretty standard. Jefferson, Chase, Hill, Cup, McCaffrey. They all kind of go top 5 every time.
Okay.
Usually Tyreek goes, and he's going to go 4 today. He's usually in that 5-6 range. So this is, while they will go in different orders, the top 6 is kind of the same every time.
With Kelsey in there as well?
Yeah.
In that top 6? Okay. That makes sense.
That top 6 that went, that's kind of the top 6 that goes almost every time. Not every time, but sometimes Diggs will slip up there. Lamb has been moving up draft boards quite a bit. You used to be able to get him at the turn. Not anymore, because these wide receivers just continue to get pushed up.
It's crazy. This time last year, CD Lamb, I think he fell. I grabbed him in like the 3rd or 4th round. He slid in my redraft last year. I was shocked. It was one of those, if you guys are just going to let him sit here, I'm taking him. But what are we going to be aiming at then? We got we got the 5 of, I won't say the top 5 receivers because that's not how I feel, but we've got 5 of the best receivers off the board. We still got Diggs, we still got AJ Brown, Bijan Robinson. It's kind of crazy to me to see him being drafted this highly with other known entities on the board.
Yeah.
But that's for
I have not drafted Bijan one time. It's hard. It's a hard click for, if he's in the 2nd round, like on the turn, I wouldn't mind it.
Sure.
I was hoping Stephon Diggs or AJ Brown would have fell to us. That would have been great. It doesn't happen. So, yeah, where do you want to go here? I think any of the running backs you could get on the other way if you want to go, if there's a wide receiver you like more, or if you like Bijan.
I am not. So I just real. I like St. Brown or Garrett Wilson. I like them both. St. Brown is
St. Brown it is.
He's been good to me for the last 2 years. So,
Do you
how
want
much time? How much time do we have per pick?
You
So
get
I
30
don't.
seconds, and we're on
30
the clock
seconds.
again.
Okay. Okay. We're on the clock again.
He goes Devontae Adams, Garrett Wilson. So we're staring at running back. We could get another wide receiver, Jalen Waddle, Chris
You
Olave.
tell me what we should do because there's only 10 seconds left. I think it's probably wide receiver for you normally, right?
Yeah.
Who'd we
I'm
get?
gonna go JT.
Oh, you went JT. All right.
Look,
Okay.
Kev, I got the
I'll-
Colts guy on the
I-
stream. You know, it's we gotta take now. We take him 2 spots ahead of ADP, whatever. But look, I and most often I'm taking two wide receivers there.
2 wide receivers. Yeah, that's what I thought.
Most often I'm taking 2 wide receivers there. I would have taken
It was like Waddle and Olave.
probably
were the top
Waddle. I
2.
probably would have
Okay.
taken Waddle. Olave is okay too, but I probably would have taken Waddle. I'm just gonna mark these. So
Okay.
to do that, and so we are good there.
We think about Hurts first QB off the board.
Yeah, so
That's
this is a decision that a lot of people have to make, right? You take AJ Brown in the first. Do you stack him with
Oh.
Hurts? Because you're not Hurts is never going to come back to 34. It's just not going to happen.
Yep.
So you either stack him with Hurts now or you just punt it and go with somebody else. Patrick Mahomes goes right before the Travis Kelce manager, but drafter, I assume he probably was looking at a guy like Patrick Mahomes. After we go Jonathan Taylor, Jalen Hurts goes. Bijan drops from all the way to 16. Saquon at 17. Jalen Waddle, Nick Chubb, Patrick Mahomes, Chris Olave, Devontae Smith, T. Higgins. So the Jamar Chase, T. Higgins stack. I'd be surprised if, probably around round 4, he's going to hope that Joe Burrow falls to him in round 4.
I would say, is it going to be right here, round 3? Is he going to do it right
This
here?
will be a little early. Over Josh Allen, over Justin Fields. That would be
Fair.
quite early. Lamar Jackson.
Oh, okay. So
So-
there's reason to
Yeah.
believe that Burrow will swing back. Okay.
He should. And honestly, he's going to
But he doesn't have the faith.
Yeah. The thing about it is, like, if you're in a really good and sharp draft, these guys aren't going to take Joe Burrow because they have nothing to stack. Maybe the Travis Kelce guy just for a week 17 stack or something there and try to backdoor stack Burrow with like a Joe Burrow or Tyler Boyd or something like that. But most often these guys don't have a reason to draft Joe Burrow, so I would have pushed it just to see what happened.
That's fair. No, that makes some sense because you're not going to do it. You're not going to just play spoiler this early on. You're not going to just take a pick just to ruin someone else's plan.
If
So
you
what
are here with in the chat, tell us what you think about Amon-Ra St. Brown. We took him over Devontae Adams, Garrett Wilson, and then we take Johnny Taylor, the Colt, as we got the Colts man Kev with us tonight. But let us know in the chat what you think of our first 2 picks. Kev, you were about to ask me a question.
I was going to ask you what you think we should do with this 3rd round pick based on what's coming up. Is it wide receiver? I already have regret. See, this is why I hate drafting, because if I don't love the first 2 picks, I'm already in my head, we should have done this, we should have done that. How are we going to make up the ground? So what are we looking for here? I'm guessing it's receiver, but I'm gonna follow your lead.
Yeah, so I'm probably not even thinking about, unless a crazy ADP value comes out. I'm not really even thinking about running backs for a while. Like,
and there's no QBs either, right? At this
I'm an
point, with
anchor
those
RB
4
guy.
gone.
We could think about a Lamar Jackson.
Oh,
never mind.
Wow.
Lee in the chat going double quarterback. I just assumed he wouldn't take Lamar because he just took Hurts. So we're taking a wide receiver. We're taking a wide receiver. I don't even care which one it is. Tight ends.
How do you feel about Calvin coming off the year?
Let's go Calvin.
I'll go with Calvin. Why not?
And it gives us another quarterback stack option, which I like. I love Trevor Lawrence. Decent quarterback stack later on.
Big fan. Okay. Yeah, I like that.
And we're going to be up
We're
pretty
gonna be
quickly again.
right back. So is it another receiver again, right?
Yeah, the tight ends are pretty dry. You're looking at Hawkinson, Kittle, Pitts. I'm not taking any of these guys this early. That's a 10 picks ahead of ADP. I'm not really
Yep.
willing to do that.
Who
We
do you-
could take a Travis Etienne again. I don't really think about, but if we really wanted to go a massive stack in Jacksonville, I'm not a super fan of that at all, but we could if you liked it.
Yeah, I don't like it as much just because they're gonna go with a bit of a committee. Like they're
Yeah.
looking to not overload him. So let's go receiver.
Who's your favorite one here?
Oh wow. Who do you like? I don't love any of those, to be honest.
I like Watson.
Okay, give me
Watson
I like
most.
Watson the most too. Okay. If
Yeah,
Hopkins, if
young
I
guy,
knew what
year
Hopkins was
2.
doing, maybe, but
Yep.
yeah, Watson.
Yeah, I think Hopkins is kind of moving up just based off speculation. But then I saw he went to Tennessee today. Like,
Not
Which-
serious.
tells me he didn't go to Tennessee?
No. I said he's not serious if he's
Oh,
going
yeah,
to
I mean,
Tennessee.
Well, I mean, it tells me that like he could just be chasing money, right? He could just be trying to find the place that's going to pay him the most, not the place that's going to win a championship. He also could just be doing his due diligence and whatnot. So you got to give the guy props for that. But man, you want to dangle a team like Tennessee out there, and if I'm going to draft him in the back end or the front end of the 4th round, like I'm going to feel terrible if he signs in Tennessee or Houston, goes back to Houston or something like that. Like, no, thank you. But right now he has been flying up the draft boards with the speculation of the Chiefs and Bills for sure.
That would drive it. Okay, that would entice me, but no, at this point, that's not one I'd want to take a flyer on. Not this early. It looks like someone was.
We've got Johnny Taylor at running back, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Calvin Ridley, Christian Watson. So Colts, Detroit, Jacksonville, Green Bay. Just thinking through some of these later stacks that we'll be looking at. I think we'll probably have an opportunity at tight end coming around the back end. I don't think Hawkinson would fall that far, but you kind of mentioned not really liking George Kittle earlier, so we could avoid him. Dallas Goedert's kind of my cutoff right now in terms of tight ends. Just don't like it. Now, I would draft a guy like Evan Ingram later on just because we just took Calvin Ridley. Maybe we can get a Trevor Lawrence in there. I don't mind taking tight ends with their quarterbacks, most specifically. Otherwise, if we miss on all these guys, I wouldn't mind punting it as well. Let's take a look at quarterbacks here. So,
okay, I'm with
I'm
you
just
on
going to
that.
put these guys out here. It doesn't mean we need to take them. I'm just putting the guys that are stacks on our team right now. Goff later on.
Yeah.
I mean, we can get these are late stacks that we get for some of these guys. So, if we want to go Lawrence, we're probably going to have to take him at the next turn if he makes it there. So,
okay,
which I don't mind. I don't have a lot of Jacksonville stacks. I don't play them a lot because they stack up against Tampa Bay in week 16 and Carolina in week 17. So it's not like pretty. They're not like, oh, I really want a lot of that game. But if say the Colts push them a little bit this year, they're going to have to win those games if they get pushed a little bit in the South.
And it could be Tennessee that pushes them as well. We'll see. I mean, I still don't really know what exactly to make of that Titans team right now. But I think it's going to be a tight division. I do. I believe in what Jacksonville's doing, but they went on one hell of a run to end the season while the tires literally fell off for Tennessee. Like they couldn't have been more injury prone or plagued during that stretch. So everything, it was like kind of a perfect storm for Jacksonville. So I don't mind it though. We're up now, right? So
we are up, and there is a guy that I would love to play.
Who is it?
And that's your boy Pittman. And I'm not even doing that because it's a Colts guy, but it sets up Anthony Richardson coming back around later on, which I love. What do you think about that?
I like it. I'll take it. I mean, we have other good receivers as well, so I'm good with that. I like him. I've drafted
connects with Jonathan Taylor. Not saying, I don't want to just buy in every draft with the Colts, but it makes sense for this team. Other guys I like, I've been taking a lot of time on Lockett. I probably should be taking a little bit more JSN just because he's a slot wide receiver. He's not really going to be replacing a DK Metcalf or a Tyler Lockett. So I probably should take him a little bit more. And I like Chris Godwin in that spot too.
Yes.
Do you want to take a tight end of Kyle Pitts, or do you want to just stack up the Jaguars?
Oh,
Like if we did Trevor Lawrence, Anthony Richardson, we wouldn't have to do any other quarterbacks.
okay. Let's do that. Yeah, we can go ahead and do that. That way we get at least we get one of our stacks, and that way, if some reason if AR goes off the board,
yeah, we're not
we
kicking
can add
ourselves
Ingram
for,
at tight end or something. Yeah.
Yeah. And we're not, and then we're not kicking ourselves for missing a. I definitely draft quarterbacks a little earlier. I love trying to get, up in this top echelon of quarterbacks. What round are we? 6? Yeah, round 6.
Yep.
I'm trying to get one in through the first 6 rounds. If I can get, a Hurts or Jackson, Allen, whatever, that makes a. And I think this is where earlier, Nate had asked in the chat, like, is it more flexible? Like, Lee threw a goddamn wrench to us when he took Lamar Jackson, like, just straight up. I'm like, what the hell are you doing? Like, I was so ready, like, to try to talk you into Lamar Jackson,
I'd have been in for it.
He throws it. It's like, all right, so now we pivot. We can still make a really sharp team that makes sense in a best ball world, right? We tell a story. Look, Lamar Jackson, new year, the offensive coordinator, things don't mesh well in year 1. He's good, but he's not round 3 grades, right? I don't think that to be true, but there's a possibility. It's not a non-zero chance that he struggles in the first year of a brand new offense. He struggled his rookie year in a brand new offense. Then he was great his second year when he won MVP. Who's to say something like that wouldn't happen? So, not saying it's going to, but you have to think through those scenarios of, like, if somebody else is going to snipe you on a guy, let's be flexible and let's make a change.
Yeah, that's what you got to do. Yeah, so that is where I'm assuming that a little bit of that flexibility, like Nate was talking about, where you do have the best ball aspects of it, where you can just go ahead, like you said, because of things like those the new playoff pods and the week 17 stack, just gives you different angles to play it from, at least, right? You don't always have as many ways to go about it in a standard traditional redraft or a keeper league or something like that.
How do you look at, you see some of these teams? I like this. I don't like Stevenson and Pollard together from the one spot, but I do like both of those guys.
Yep. Yeah, that's
like I would have loved like a Stevenson and then like a DK Metcalf right here instead of Pollard. That would have been pretty sweet. Just looking at other people's drafts.
Yeah.
Doorknob goes Burrow stack early, and then 3 straight running backs. In the 4 hole, kind of going to 0 RB, not taking Swift until round 6.
Oh, wow. That one's interesting. You got the Fields running yards.
Yep. Logs. These guys all taking 3 running backs in the first 5 rounds. That's a lot of testosterone there in the running back position.
Yeah. No kidding. How do you feel about Tony? What is that? 6th round? Kadarius Toney? Is that good value there? Yeah.
He's starting to move up a little bit.
Is that just a stack play? That's the guy who had Mahomes.
It was. He has Mahomes, old Badger. So I'm wonder how it seems like he probably reached a little bit. Oh no, it's right on ADP 68. He ADP of 70.6.
Oh, okay.
He's moving up a little bit recently, with all the reports saying he could be a number 1 and these kind of things. I think a lot of those reports are coming out amid the Hopkins stuff, right? You don't want your team thinking that the guys on the team aren't good enough. So
where are we going this round?
We could go Richardson now just to secure him and don't let Rush get him if we wanted to, because a lot of these guys, I think any of these guys are fine.
Yeah, we can go ahead and do that. Yeah, I'm fine.
Because we want to take him with one of these 2 picks. So let's just get him with the pick that we can still control.
Yep. I'm all
right,
about
so
that.
you have a choice to make. We could go running back. Rashad White makes sense with stacks in Tampa Bay. I love Rashad White.
Okay.
Detroit makes sense with Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Oh yeah, to play Montgomery there.
Arizona doesn't make a lot of sense. White goes. Williams in Denver doesn't make a lot of sense stack wise, but he's a really good running back. Or we could go wide receiver, or we could take Evan Ingram and double
Ooh.
stack Trevor Lawrence.
What was the
'Cause he's
running
not
back?
coming back.
Yeah, I'm good. So I like Ingram. I'm pretty high on him, but so I would be good with, what do you say, Montgomery from Detroit? I really don't know what to make of the Detroit running back situation, but I'd be good with that or Ingram. I don't know who's going to be around for the next tight end spot, but I know you mentioned being able to take multiple shots later on. So I could go
take
either
multiple-
way.
I'm leaning Ingram because
Yeah, okay.
he could be our tight end one, and that probably allows us to get out of here with just 2 tight ends.
Yeah, that works.
Which allows us, like, I think we're good at quarterback now. We don't need a third quarterback in my, like, if we spent a lot of draft capital in quarterback, 2 in the first 7 rounds. We get a guy like Evan Ingram. We could stack a third, a 17, 18. We could throw a third tight end on. I don't think we would have to do that if we didn't want to. But that allows us now, if we do it that way, that gives us 14 roster spots for running backs and wide receivers. And so and anybody listening still, it's 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers, and a flex. That's what you take every week. 1 quarterback, 1 tight end. So you could play 4 wide receivers every week. It is half point PPR. It's not full point, but it's half point, which is why I load up on wide receivers early and often, because we already have our, we're Jonathan Taylor in the second round. We're expecting he's going to be in our starting lineup every week. Is that realistic? No, but that's the expectation, right?
Yep.
So now we're just looking for like 4 to 5 other running backs that could hit, this week and next week and whatnot.
Yep.
Whereas wide receivers, we need 4 of them to fill in if we're going to do this right. Again, that's not how it happens every time. You might have a running back that blows up for a 30-pointer and slides in, and now your flex is a running back instead of a wide receiver. That happens. But most often you're playing 4 wide receivers every week. So that's why we kind of go wide receiver early and often. We've got a good solid 4. We're going to need more. I think if at this point we kind of let the draft just kind of roll and see where we're at. What do we like? What stacks make sense here and there? I think if Rachaad White falls, I'm probably going to talk a little bit more about him over Ingram.
I would have actually been ready to go with you with White there.
Yeah.
So once White got taken, that's when it was like, all right, well, now the one running back on that top end of that board that I was excited for is gone. So let me give the last tight end on the board that I have any excitement for.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Oh, Sean, I see our beloved Sean B in the comments. Long time Bite-Size Sports contributor and diehard Raiders fan. And yeah,
can you read that? Can you read that? That says champions.
Oh, I love it. Oh, don't worry,
I don't
Sean.
have my darn it. I don't have my championship flag running around here anymore. It's I put it away until football season. I'll have to get it back out, Sean.
Oh my God.
Just
Good to
for
see
you.
you, Sean, man. I can't wait to talk football with you. Sean will be back with us in the fall to talk some ball. I look forward to it. Thanks for hanging out with
Hell
us,
yeah.
though, man.
Thanks for being here, my man. Raiders would be too if they were willing to pay off. Right.
Yep. See, I'm
Right.
telling you, Sean, don't worry. These new guys, they fit right in. Trevor, don't worry. Sean is built cut from the same cloth as us. It's gonna be great.
Well, I don't know about
Except
that
for-
as a Raiders fan.
Well, but with the trash talk, we almost have our Thanos gauntlet complete. We've got 3 out of the 4 in the NFC North trash talking each other all day. Now we just need to corral a Broncos fan if they still exist. And who else is out there? No, we just need to get Justin Herbert to talk on a pod.
Gosh.
Our biggest fan is already a Chargers guy.
I don't know. John Boyd is like borderline Charger fan at this point. Is like,
He does
He's
have
a
a second.
borderline
Yeah.
Charger fan at this point in his life.
I do
And we
think he
also have some
sleeps in the
AFC
powder
South
blues.
stuff with you and James going back and forth. You
I'm a
know,
closet Jags fan too. It's
we can
I
find
got
a
forced
Jag
to cover
guy.
them last year.
We probably won't be able to find any Houston fans just because there's no Houston fans. But
We'll have to wait till we can pay writers for that.
that's right. That's right.
We will sponsor your best ball. We'll pay your $5 best ball if you're willing to pretend to like the Houston Texans.
Just
on the podcast.
act like you like the Texans. We find an Ohio State guy. All right, we
Yes.
are
Oh,
on the
we're
clock
up.
again.
What do we like here? It's all running backs.
I
and
love the running
receivers for
backs
now,
in
right?
this range.
Okay.
This is my favorite running back. Like if we double tapped running back, I would not hate it.
Hey, what's who do you like right now in these running backs? Because there's a lot of them that I like outside of maybe I mean I like the
My
two.
favorite one is probably Charbonnet.
No.
Oh, I
Who'd we
got
get?
him.
We got him. Yes. I was gonna say
Golly.
I was gonna say Charbonnet too. The Seahawks running backs make me nervous.
Yeah, I like just taking different shots at the Philly running backs. Like Gibson and Robinson. I like taking shots at Charbonnet and Walker, kind of just mixing it up a little bit here and there. Let's see if any of these make sense for stacks, and not really. So we can really take any of these. I took Charbonnet, so you get to pick which one you want out of these guys. Because
So not Penny.
none of
Oh,
them
wait,
really
no, Penny's
fits for a
in
stack.
in Philly now. That's right. I
Yep.
forgot. I don't. Oh shoot. Robinson. What's Robinson been doing in Washington? I like that. I liked him last year. I don't know.
Well, that's what we're taking then.
All right. I don't have a lot of faith in any. I mean, was there anybody in there that you liked a little better?
No, I mean, again, that's a range that I'm taking these running backs. A lot of these running backs. If I'm ranking them, I want to take a shot at Devin A-Chain just because how fast he is.
Oh, that's right.
The office. But it does, like, I have a lot of him, so it doesn't, to me, it doesn't matter. And none of them, none of it made sense for a stack. Like
Right.
Dallas, Minnesota, Las Vegas, Carolina, those are like our week 17 stacks with, Las Vegas, Carolina are our week 17 stacks with Indy and Jacksonville. And none of those guys were around there.
Oh, he was maybe too far out of ADP. We should have went with your boy McKinnon. He's the kind of guy that gets, has a big game in a week 17, catches 8 passes for whatever reason.
He might fall. He might fall back. I like Charbonnet. I like Brian Robinson there. It's just that's a really good pocket of running backs. Like any of them could seeing a pocket of running backs like that is why I like going zero RB or anchor RB, because you can.
Sure.
I mean, there's an argument that can be made for all of those guys. Damian Harris, he went to Buffalo. Like, he could be their goal line back. I don't know that he's going to have a phenomenal season, but James Cook, like, how good is he? We still don't know, right? And they're definitely going to use multiple running backs. And Harris is the veteran, and maybe he gets some goal line work. Like, just you could make an argument for any of those running backs, I feel like.
And that's where I still have to. What I'm figuring out right now, live as we do it, is I'm having a hard time breaking myself from the traditional redraft roster setting mindset.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at these guys and thinking, 1 week I'm going to have to decide to start them, not thinking who has the potential to just pop off randomly on a week, and just looking at it. So I need to kind of reframe, which, maybe there are others in the chat watching that will run into that same problem when they hit these middle rounds. So yeah, now that you put it that way, yeah, there is a lot of potential with those backs that we had. So where do we go with the next round? Are we back to the wide receivers? I mean, how do you feel? We both have talked before about if we're not strong at tight end, we'll get a second. Appreciate the love, Sean. I can't wait to talk with you as well, brother. So do we grab a second tight end now before it gets too paltry out there, or are we cool to wait and add to our depth at receiver? Or are you looking for a running back if, for instance, McKinnon slides? Is he gone?
McKinnon's still on the board.
Okay.
Usually in this range, we're sitting at 4 wide receivers, 3 running backs. I kind of want to just continue to take good value, take what the board leaves us instead of trying to absolutely target. Most often, especially at the turn, I'm probably taking like a running back and wide receiver together just to keep adding to both of the rooms there.
Makes sense.
Tight end, we're looking, 55, 58. Just looking deeper, Gerald Everett, a guy I like, at
Yep,
50,
same.
you get him at 158. Sam Laporta, he goes right along with Amon-Ra St. Brown. We could get him at 58. So there are still guys. Michael Mayer makes sense as a bring back
Hey.
against our Indianapolis stack later on. So I think there's guys that are down there that Hayden Hurst even, right, at Carolina, that I don't think we have to force like a Dalton Schultz right now. If we had Justin Fields, I'm taking Cole Kmet right here. If we have a CJ
Oh
Stroud,
my
I'm
God,
taking
I've banged
Dalton
that
Schultz,
drum for
right?
3 years in a row now. Come on, Cole.
Yeah,
I
but
love
I'm
you.
not gonna force it just because we feel like we want one. McKinnon is still here, so we could definitely take McKinnon. I'm not a big Mingo guy. We could take him if you want to. Michael Gallup, Dallas goes on the other side of Amon-Ra St. Brown, so I like that a little bit as a part of a little bit of a stack. Rondale Moore as well, I think.
Ooh, Gallup. Sorry. Who'd we get?
Oh, that one was too late. I tried it. We got McKinnon.
I'm still good with that.
Earlier.
Yep, I'm still good with that. So now we know. So do you want Gallup or Moore? I don't mind either.
Moore doesn't actually.
I don't trust Arizona right
Moore
now.
does not match up with anybody. So I would say Gallup is on the other side of our Detroit. Mingo, again, he would be a bring back for our Jacksonville stack if you
Okay.
I'm just not a big Mingo guy. I don't think I have any Mingo, honestly.
Okay. I'll go with Gallup. I'm not sold on Mingo yet. Just not sure on him. I mean, not that I don't know that I think Gallup will have a couple of big games here and there if he stays healthy in Dallas.
Yeah. So one of the big best ball content producers is called Spike Week. SpikeWeek.com, not a hashtag, not a sponsor. I actually don't know them at all. I just like their content. It's like a really good reminder of what you said earlier around redraft versus best ball. We're looking for spike weeks. We're looking for guys who can give us those 20 to 30 point games in a random week.
Yeah.
Like Tyler Lockett, for instance, he always jumps out at me like the best dang best ball guy to have, because when you have him in redraft, he's so frustrating because you don't play him. He goes off for 30. So you play him the next week and he gets one catch for 7 yards. And you're like, this is happening too often. And then at the end of the season, he ends up as wide receiver 16. And you're like, how? Like, I never played the guy. Why is he a top, why is he a wide receiver 2?
Oh,
but it's because he always had those spike weeks. And when he spiked big.
Yes.
So it's just things like that you want to think through when you're thinking about player takes, right? Who you mentioned it, Jerick McKinnon. He had some spike weeks last year.
Yep.
And he was brought back to Kansas City. Kansas City didn't add anybody else to that running back room yet. Hopefully they don't, honestly. And so Jerick McKinnon is going to be the number 2. And there's going to be opportunity for him to catch a random pass from Mahomes and take it to the house.
Yep. And that is exactly what I imagine we're looking for, especially as we get into these final rounds here. How many rounds do we have left, by the way? Still a decent amount, right?
6 picks
6
left.
rounds? Okay.
Yep.
Not so bad. All right. I see.
I always think that as I get through, I'm like starting to count. I'm like, man, I got a lot of picks left still.
I know, right? Speaking of dynasty leagues, I had one. I think it was a 29 rounder I did with Johnny Football. Oh my God, that thing took hours. I had to do multiple things. I couldn't give it my sole focus the entire time. We have another Raiders take in the comment that I actually like because it involves a Notre Dame tight end. So Mike Mayer is going to put big numbers in McDaniel's system. There's a huge void to fill with the departure of Darren Waller. I would agree with that. Definitely hella fantasy upside there for sure. Trevor, what are your thoughts other than absolutely not? That's completely wrong.
No. Hey, look, when I talk fantasy football, I got to take my fandom off a little bit, right? Like, no, I like I like the opportunity that Michael Mayer has. The one thing that I hesitate on is rookie tight ends don't produce. It's just, I mean, historically, we can look year after year after year, they don't produce. Hell, even Kyle Pitts was the best tight end to ever come out, and he scored 0 touchdowns in his rookie season. Like, they just don't produce, and it's just a part of the NFL, right? The tight end position is so difficult with all the blocking schemes they have to figure out, plus all the routes and all that. So, not to say he can't have some spike weeks, especially later on this season. I think he's a fine best ball draft pick, especially in the early 200s, late 190s, wherever he's at. I don't mind that, but I want to temper my expectations for his final, like, I guess, like at the end of the year. I don't see him as a top 12 tight end this year for fantasy, but I do think he's got great potential moving forward. That's strictly because he's a rookie. If you know,
That's
we're on the
interesting.
clock again.
Oh, okay. I'll hold my thought on that. What do we got?
We can go a lot of different directions here. I like
Mostert
Gerald
feels like
Everett
a
at
spike
tight
week
end.
guy.
I like
Everett at
Mostert.
tight end. I like both of those. Do we think Everett will be there in the next pick?
Yeah.
I can
Let's
go
do Mostert now.
Mostert. Okay. So speaking of tight ends, yeah,
You
I'm
missed your
not.
pick.
What?
No, we got it.
Oh,
We
okay.
got it.
Come
Well,
on.
if you star him, it goes off the queue anyways. Like whoever's
Oh,
over
okay.
here. So I can have like 3 people and I can switch them, and it just matters like who.
As long as you got them lined up.
Underdog has a little bit of a delay after the 30 seconds is over. You get like a half second still if you need to.
Oh, nice. Okay.
I do agree with this.
Oh,
Sean,
yeah.
He still is being a victim. He's still a victim of a bad system.
And Sean is also banging a drum that I like, which is tight
Come
end you,
on,
baby.
Rush.
Oh, did he get him?
Come
Oh,
on.
oh, he
got all
killing
these
me.
guys on the board. All right, let's take a wide receiver.
All right, yeah, I was gonna say I don't like
Freaking
any.
kidding
What do you?
me.
Do you? What are your guy MVS? I saw you put him up there. I
No,
like
I was
Van
just showing
Jefferson
you.
if he's healthy for a couple of. I mean, I don't know about spikes. He just actually, honestly, I don't trust the Rams anymore. I don't know what that offense is gonna do. Yeah, shit. There you
I'm
go.
going
Good.
Osborne.
Good.
It's stacked with Green Bay.
Sorry, I also forgot. I think I dropped the some S bombs in there. I forgot this wasn't late night bites yet. So
Well,
sorry. We let them fly over on
drop
my
a lot of
shows.
bombs,
Okay,
so-
good.
No,
So I'm
I
not
drop a lot of
sure. You
bombs.
know, I want everybody to be comfortable on their own platform. But I do want to just say one more thing about tight end you, just because it's Notre Dame and I love it. Sean, yes, maybe it won't happen rookie year. But I do believe that Mike Mayer is going to be a guy. I think he's going to be a great player. But again, I'm incredibly biased, and Notre Dame, they have produced some pretty good tight ends, but the big knock is they can't stay healthy. They either can't stay healthy or they're Cole Kmet, and their coach doesn't know how to use them, and it really frustrates the hell out of me. So anyway, I'm done.
I thought Iowa was tight in you, but that's just me.
There's like, yeah, I mean, there may be Iowa. It's like they have the cream of the crop, but Notre Dame, their like last 11 starting tight ends have been drafted into the NFL. So it's just been going all the way back to Anthony Fasano. They've been getting since I was in college or in high school. They've been getting guys drafted. So, you know, it's the Kyle Rudolphs, it's the Tyler Eiferts, it's all these really talented guys that get hurt and then they don't pan out because they're always hurt. So hopefully Michael Mayer avoids this curse and is the tight end.
Did you attend Notre Dame or are you just a big fan?
No, I'm just so my dad hails from right around the South Bend area. So I inherited it. I actually didn't like at a really young age. I was all about basketball. I love the NFL, but I didn't care about college football. And then my dad kind of got me. He started taking me to Notre Dame games. And so it became a thing. So yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Just all right. So we've got, we're doing okay now because we've got a little bit of an old recap here for the audio listeners. Trevor Lawrence, Anthony Richardson at quarterback. Jonathan Taylor to go ahead with Anthony Richardson there in the Colts. Zach Charbonnet, Brian Robinson, Jerick McKinnon, Raheem Mostert. Then we've got St. Brown from Detroit, Calvin Ridley, Christian Watson, Michael Pittman to add to that Colts stack, Michael Gallup, KJ Osborne, and then Evan Ingram for a Jaguar stack, along with Ridley and Lawrence. We've got a little bit of a mini correlation with Detroit and Dallas with Amon-Ra St. Brown and Michael Gallup, week 17. We like that. We got a little Christian Watson, KJ Osborne mini stack there in Minnesota and Green Bay for a week 17. So we've done a pretty decent job of getting a couple little smaller mini stacks, not anything huge. We don't have to go crazy on week 17. But again, it helps us. We talked Van Jefferson, KJ Osborne. Who do we want to take? Oh, let's take the mini stack. So makes you feel a little bit, warm and cozy because you got a little bit of a stack or correlation in there, not just a random Rams guy.
Yeah, definitely. I'm glad you were able to make that save. What was
this
that?
Beep has, dude. See, he has 6 running backs in 8 rounds.
Wow.
Holy cow.
He's that reminds me of fantasy football back when I started. Yeah. Yeah, 0 RBs left for anyone else. Yeah.
The reason I don't like this 0 RB though is because he took 2 tight ends in the first 5 rounds and a quarterback. So he does 0 RB, but he only gets 2 wide receivers.
Yeah, does Kelsey? No, because you said because he only got. That doesn't make sense.
Like, just take.
Why would you take Kittle there, or
Mike Williams or Michael Pittman or somebody? I mean, he's probably assuming DJ Moore falls one more, but he doesn't. So, all right, we're back on the clock.
Ooh, what do we got?
We got a 2-5-6-1 build going on here.
Okay.
I like Josh Downs, but I don't think it makes sense because we have a lot of Colts already.
Yeah, that's fair. Yep.
We could take a Curtis Samuel. We already have one Washington guy.
I'm good with that.
Cuba
actually,
could be on the other side of a stack or stack. You like Samuel?
I like both. It depends on what we have a stronger need for. Samuel did pretty well for me in a couple leagues last year as a spike guy. Now he wasn't consistent, but he has big play potential. Maybe a little more consistency at quarterback.
All right, I'm not gonna let it go anymore. We're taking Michael Mayer.
Yeah, we did it.
Take Michael Mayer, 17 spots above ADP.
Oh,
we gotta get the stack. We gotta get the second tight end. Right, we got bring back the Indianapolis Colts stack.
Yeah, we're all in unison. I like this. Look at this. We're bringing people together.
That's right.
Through the power of tight ends.
That's what we're here for.
Are we not doing phrasing anymore? I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said it that way.
Yeah, that's what we're here for.
Whoops.
Let's go.
All right. So we got 2 left, right? So we got one more time around the horn, right? And that's are we ending it? Yeah, okay.
Yep, 2 more left, 203, 206.
That's perfect. I hate when you end it like when you have back-to-backs like that, but then your final pick is whoops, my bad. I like that we get to do those one last around the horn and we don't have to wait and have our picks isolated like that. So okay, we have our tight end, so we are really just doing whatever sticks out that's like, hey, here's a 17 stack. Yeah. Here's a smaller stack.
Because, I mean, even running back, Johnny Taylor, Zach Charbonnet, Brian Robinson, Jerick McKinnon, Raheem Mostert. Like, I'm not – if we walked out of this draft with just those 5, I wouldn't feel bad. I think we should probably throw a 6th one on there at the bare minimum.
I like Chuba.
We're stacked at wide receiver.
I like Gus, but he doesn't – I have such a love-hate with Ravens running backs because we never know who's going to play. They all, I think, can do the job, but you'll never know if they're going to play more than 2 weeks. Who else was up there at running back? Oh, it was Lenny Fournette.
That's why I like taking all the Philly guys.
Yeah.
And not all together.
Right.
But take a little bit of DeAndre Swift, take a little Kenny Gainwell, take a little Rashad Penny because – dude, one of them could score 3 touchdowns in a week, right?
Yep.
Like that's just the way Philadelphia plays. So I like doing that a little bit. Chuba would have been he was the other guy I was thinking about when you were talking Curtis Samuel.
Mm-hmm.
Carolina brings back on Jacksonville, gives us that 6th running back. I wouldn't have minded it. But you were talking about Curtis Samuel, so I just went ahead. I was fine with taking him too. 5 picks past ADP. So letting the draft come to us for sure.
We might
Some
Chuba
of the
might fall
guys-
again. He's still not on the board. He's still on the
That's
board.
true.
What do you think?
I like here. I don't mind Ty Chandler or Dwayne McBride. John Boyd's got me on McBride.
Okay.
Detroit and Minnesota play each other week 16. Not that we have to be pushing that, but I don't mind McBride. I like Malik Davis for Dallas. I love Tony Pollard, but I mean Malik Davis is the number 2 guy. Everybody wants to ooh and all over Deuce Vaughn. Look, I'm a K-State guy. My kid's got a Deuce Vaughn jersey. Like, I get it, but Malik Davis has been there, and he's good, and he's a little bit taller than 5'4", or whatever Deuce Vaughn is. So
yeah. Okay. I mean, I like all of those. I know you had mentioned before this might be where you would take a I think Lenny's the only one off. I think Kareem Hunt is off the board now. I don't believe I see Zeke up there. Not that, I mean, honestly, I'm sure Zeke will play somewhere. I'm not interested. I don't think he has the ability to spike unless he gets a bunch of goal line carries at random. But and we are up. So which one of those guys do you like the most? I mean, we have Hubbard sitting there again.
Chuba does fall, and he does play with Jacksonville.
I like it.
That kind of makes sense.
I'm
good
into it.
with that.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
So then we're going.
We could do a wide receiver. We could do another running back.
What are you feeling? I mean, the world's our oyster now. You know, we
Pretty
got.
much. I mean, truly. Let's just. I mean, anybody jump out here?
Let us know. Throw us out in the chat.
Yeah, for real. You guys tell us.
Let's
see.
So many names that I like outside. Like,
yeah,
I don't trust their usage, but there are so many guys that I've seen.
That
like so Michael Carter. I don't know about Cordell Patterson this season. James Robinson. You know, these are guys that like I know they're still maybe not James Robinson. I'm not quite as sure on, but these are guys that we've seen have spike weeks in the past, right? At least. Last year owning some ETN shares, James Robinson was pissing me off.
Running back or wide receiver? Quick. Running back or
running back.
Running back?
Receiver.
Receiver?
Yep.
All right, well, I'm going Quez then.
Okay.
He's one of my favorite. Like he does nothing.
Oh, dang it. Stacks. Oh, Sean wanted us to go running back. Dang it. Oh, we went. Dang it. My bad.
Oh, Sean wanted to go running back.
Also, you got a great compliment from him, by the way. No one's ever said that I sound like Pat McAfee. That's dope.
Dude, I can turn it around. You just see the
I was gonna say I tried to pull the comment down before you could read the second half.
But I mean, it's inevitable. Like it's everywhere. So, no, thank you. I appreciate that. I don't think anybody's told me I sound like Pat McAfee before, so that's really fun. I was gonna just mention I love Quez Watkins. He's being drafted at 215. So anybody who's not really familiar, there are 216 picks in Bestball. So pretty much any of these guys who are 215 and deeper, even probably 213, they're not being picked every draft. There are multiple drafts that these guys are not picked. So essentially what I really try to do in round 18 is really try to mix it up with guys who I think have a chance to spike, have good games, whatever, but also are not going to be on a lot of rosters, right? So there's going to be over 200,000 puppy 2 drafts. And if only 5,000 of them take Quez Watkins, I already have a little bit of leverage over the rest of the field if Quez Watkins hits. Now, everybody else is doing that as well. But if you go through and you're like, well, Robert Woods, he's better ADP, you're right. But at 199, he's being drafted in almost every draft, right? So he's being drafted in 195,000 drafts, whereas Quez Watkins is being drafted in, say, 30,000 drafts. I have a lot of leverage by taking a guy like Quez Watkins over a guy like Robert Woods. I'm not saying it's the right wide receiver to take, but if you think about the numbers, when you get into week 15, 16, and 17, there's less of a chance for a guy like Quez Watkins to be on one of those rosters. So that's just the way I really try to mix it up in those late rounds. And I really just throw out ADP in like the last 4 rounds, which is why we took Michael Mayer 17 spots above ADP, because I wanted him instead of trying to wait and see if he falls to us. Like, no, just go get him. So I throw ADP out the window at the end. You kind of use it as a guide all draft long, but at the end, I throw it out, try to mix it up.
I'm with you there. I think as long as you have, if you have guys that you want, right? I'm a big fan of that. I think they're, like you said, early on, it's sort of like guardrails, to make sure you don't deviate too much and don't just build some wild team. But later on, I think it's about getting your guy. So the question I always ask myself, if I wait until the next round, he's not there, how am I going to feel about it? And that's usually how I just make that answer. I don't care about what 800 other people on Yahoo or ESPN tell me where this guy should go. That's my guy. I want him on this roster. Probably not going to be here for the next round, so let's make the pick. So I'm all about that. And I like that little addition there at the end of that's a good perspective for first timers like me who might be more attached to those rankings, especially when you're new into this sort of thing. You're going to say, oh, let me go with the grain, let me go with what everybody else. Let me take Robert Woods here without thinking like, oh, there's probably very minimal value, especially no disrespect to Robert Woods. He's had a great career. I think at this point with what we've seen, I don't think he's going to be a spike guy.
Yeah.
I doubt Robert Woods cracks your starting lineup ever. So what value are you really grabbing? Whereas you said,
especially in Houston.
Especially when DeAndre Hopkins comes back and then
that's
he's like,
right.
oh, man, I don't have a job anymore.
All right. You are getting on stream here before too long again. So let me, and I know I've literally taken you away from the entire NBA. I have no idea what happened with the NBA tonight. Have you been watching it?
You've had my full attention, but that's okay because we got James and John.
There you go.
They're taking diligent notes. And listen, guys, I eat, sleep, and dream that sport.
You'll know everything about it.
We got it. All I know is they are who we thought they were, and Denver's up 18 points. So
they are. Oh wow, crazy! Yeah. That's ridiculous. Real quick though, because Lee is in the chat or was in the chat, I want to look at his team. We have not looked at his team yet. We really didn't talk about his team a lot, other than him sniping us and taking Lamar Jackson for absolutely zero reason. Like, come on, man. We're the ones grinding the tapes. We're on the content, and then you go and take Lamar Jackson from. So Lee takes. Let's actually go this route. It's a lot easier to look at his team this way. He goes to a 3-5-7-3. So he takes 3 quarterbacks and 3 tight ends, which he knows I am rarely, if not never, doing. I just want as many of those wide receiver running backs as possible. So Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson, Mac Jones at quarterback. I don't mind throwing a third quarterback on there. There actually was a lot of research coming into last year about getting that third quarterback helps kind of propel you into the playoffs because, one quarterback's on a bye. Say Hurts is on a bye week 10. Lamar has a scrappy game against the Bengals. I don't know who they played in week 10, but just like, so it's not very, but Mac Jones, throws for 300 yards against the Dolphins. Like you get that 1 week. So anyways, I don't mind the third quarterback because especially with the bye weeks, I just haven't done it a lot, especially not if I'm giving 2 of my top 3 picks to a quarterback. At running back, he goes Jahmyr Gibbs, Cam Akers, Rashad Penny, Jerome Ford, Jeff Wilson. So a little bit thin at the running back position. And then wide receiver, A.J. Brown, Zay Flowers, Brandon Cooks, Odell Beckham, Alec Pierce, Jalen Hyatt, Josh Downs. So he does a good job of getting A.J. Brown and Odell Beckham, Zay Flowers for his stacks there. Dallas Goedert to double stack Jalen Hurts, Dalton Schultz, and Isaiah Likely. So he triple stacks. Goes all in on the Baltimore offense. Don't mind that. Did he even have a New England guy? So he's not even stacking Mac Jones. He just takes Mac Jones. Anyways, how do you feel, Kev, about Lee's team here?
I'm glad that we talked about the three quarterbacks because now I'm going to keep that in mind depending on which two quarterbacks I get in my best ball league. There may be situations where the right guy falls. I kind of agree. For me personally, it's not Mac Jones unless there's a stack there that I would have liked. But
I mean, it takes
uh,
him round 17. It's not like I
yeah,
mean, he's
yeah, it's
first
not
in his
like it's
career, so
yeah,
he's not spending a
exactly.
lot of draft capital.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and he's a young guy with lots of upside. I mean, when it comes to Mac Jones, I love his footwork in the pocket. I really think he's got a future. I like the way I think what I would have done here is maybe instead of three tight ends, I'd have had one more running back, and then like that might be my ideal breakdown because I don't know. The way you just talked about that three quarterback thing that's really resonating with me. So I might add the third quarterback into some of my best ball strategies, but looking at that, I mean, there's some big opportunity in that. Like, there's a lot of potential in that running back room. One of my two championships is on the back of Amon-Ra St. Brown and Rashad Penny. So Rashad Penny
Yeah.
can do it. He can go off. Cam Akers had that crazy end to the season last year. Gibbs. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do about Detroit running backs ever.
Yeah.
I'd like to think that Gibbs would be good, but no. So I like the formation.
But they
I
never
think it's
used
a good
DeAndre
team.
Swift, so are they going to use Gibbs?
Yeah, exactly. It's sort of like it's like you had Gibbs at home, and maybe
Yeah.
maybe
I agree with you, though. I mean, Zach Evans, Deuce Vaughn. We talked about Chandler and McBride, Malik Davis. There's just some running backs that were still on the board here that I probably would have taken instead of Isaiah Likely. So just to throw another running back on there. So I agree with you there. Zay Flowers is fine. Brandon Cooks is okay. Like, I mean, he just the wide receivers are okay. Definitely heavy with AJ Brown. I just think it's a little bit thin, and not to harp on Lee, greatest listener of Bite Size Sports maybe of all time. Obviously, so we love him and love him being around and drafting with us. I personally am not putting this much draft capital on quarterbacks. I think that you're really hurting yourself because you can only play one every week. So Jalen Hurts and Lamar Jackson can both go off for 34 points in a week. You're only getting 34 points. You're not getting 68. You're not getting double the fun there, right? You're only getting the 38. You're only getting the 34. So if you're going to do a Jalen Hurts here, I just don't think you need to take Lamar Jackson. It just doesn't, to me, it's too much. I don't mind doing one of these top 5, top 6 if you want to add Fields, and then taking Lawrence, Watson, Richardson, Tua, even a Herbert, one of these guys, right? But getting 2 of these guys in the top 4 or 2 in the top 3, that just feels like way too much draft capital for a spot you can only play one guy in.
That's fair. So, and just to break it down for the dummies like me. So essentially, you're not necessarily out on 3 quarterbacks, but when you're taking them that highly, and like you said, there are going to be so many weeks where one of those 2 guys is going to cancel the other one out. So, for instance, if I were someone who maybe, because what I normally like to do, if I don't get one of those early quarterbacks, I'm waiting until later. And then usually in my redraft leagues, I'm a 3 quarterback guy because that's usually the strategy of what I do. I take a solid veteran with a high floor and a low ceiling, and I take a couple of guys that I have a good feeling about, or for whatever reason I think they're on the upswing. So are you just saying 3 quarterbacks? You're just out on 3 quarterbacks for best ball?
No, I'm not out on 3 quarterbacks. When we're taking 2 quarterbacks at 6 and 7, there's no that's enough draft capital to me. Just looking at his team, and I know we could pick apart every team if we wanted to, and we got to get out of here. But instead of taking Lamar Jackson, if he takes Amari Cooper at pick 37, who Cooper goes 3 picks later at pick 37. If Lee takes him at pick 34, he can come back around and take Watson at pick 82. Okay, I was backwards. Sorry. That's my fault. He could take him at pick 63, I guess, if he really wanted to. Or he could take Anthony Richardson at 82 or Tua at 82. Right. So now you have Jalen Hurts and Anthony Richardson, Jalen Hurts and Tua. and you have a Calvin Ridley, Christian Watson, Amari Cooper, somebody like that up here. So, like, to me, I'd rather take the wide receiver in round 3 and the quarterback in round 7, where he took the quarterback in round 3 and the wide receiver in round 7. That's a huge tier break for wide receiver, and you have to play 3 of them, and you could play 4 of them. It's a break for quarterback, but you're only playing 1 quarterback, so you don't need as much. That's kind of where I'm at with this. Like, I mean, we don't need to beat the dead horse, but that's why I'm saying I think it's a little too much, because he could have had 2 good quarterbacks still without having the draft capital there. I like my 2 teams, Baltimore and Philly stacks. And this is what I told you before too, right? We know Lee likes to go after the team. So that's why he does this.
Yep.
And Lee, I'll tell you, like, maybe we just don't go after 2 of the teams that have high draft capital. You want to go Philly, that's good. Maybe you go Philly, Jacksonville, Philly, Indy, Philly, Cleveland, Miami. Some of these, get a second team that doesn't cost you as much instead of doing 2 high-powered offenses at the same time. That's all. I'll get off my soapbox now. Nobody else wants to hear that. I appreciate all of you being here with us. Kev's got another show in 15 minutes, so we got to get out of here. Kev, thank you for joining. Let the people know, outside of right here in 15 minutes, where can they find you?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, man. I had a blast being here. You can find me right here on this very network Thursdays at 9. So we have a bonus bounce in a few minutes to talk about Game 3. We have our regularly scheduled NBA program Thursdays at 9. And keep a lookout. If you are subscribed with your notifications on, or if you're following us on social media, you'll know when we go live on our next late night bites. I am calling kickboxing and MMA matches the next 2 weekends. So that's why the schedule's a little wonky. Once we get through that, we will have a regularly scheduled night show. So be on the lookout there. But otherwise, find me at Kev Nivek _ on all social medias.
Yeah, don't forget, one more time, hit that subscribe button. We see you out there. 69% is a nice number, but we don't want it that high. Lower that thing. Hit that subscribe button for us. Thank you all for joining us tonight. Hit the like button on your way out. Thanks for being in the chat. Thanks for drafting with us, Lee. Hopefully we can get some other people in the drafts as we keep going on. I'll be on Friday morning, 7 a.m., talking, biting early, just talking sports. It's almost like a sports talk radio show is kind of the way I'm going to look at it. I'll bring some guests on here and there, but we'll do that every Friday throughout the summer. Get that in before the kids get up and start screaming and yelling around the house. Check out my season-long fantasy podcast, Another Damn Fantasy Podcast, powered by Bite Size Sports. You can find us on Apple or Spotify. And we are usually live every Wednesday night right here at 8:15. My show, which we did tonight, is usually on Friday nights, but wanted to move it up this week since we had an open spot. Not a big deal there. Follow me on Facebook at The Rumbles of Red, on Twitter at Trevor S_FF. Good luck in all your underdog drafts, and may the money be in your favor.